Welcome to Board Ghost, a story broadcast with games as the engine.
If living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop. Been waiting for a minute there, but has it been forever? 'Cause dying don't agree with me, no.
We believe you're out there, hungry for stories for shared experience. We can't see you, can't hear you, yet we will play for you. This night's offering is Lovecraftesque by Black Armada Games, designed by Joshua Fox and Becky Annison. To learn how we generate stories playing games from Lovecraftesque, go check out our Lovecraftesque Rules Primer. Our humble players, myself, John Holt, with me,
Ken Breeze.
and our guest.
And I'm James Mendez-Hodes.
All right, welcome, James.
Welcome.
Mendez, is that?
Yeah, usually go by Mendez because you know too many nerds named James.
All right. Well, welcome. This is your first time playing Lovecraftesque. This is our second run through on it. Before we get into stuff, I want to plug, we've got a Patreon. If you want to help and collaborate making the show, go check out our Patreon at patreon.com/boardghost, where you can get access to how to play videos, so you can get more than just our supplement episodes, art from the episode, and you can even get access to episodes early if we get them edited before the whole thing. So go check that out at patreon.com/boardghost, and we're going to get into Lovecraftesque. So Lovecraftesque is a game that gives you a sort of mystery that will ostensibly start off maybe a little like creepy but not supernatural, and then evolve into something supernatural.
That's right.
This is what stuff we're going to start writing down.
Cool,
so
cool.
What era are we in? Is this the modern era? Is this 1890s, 1920s, somewhere,
Yeah,
some other
like, where are
historical
we in
period?
where are we? Are
Are we in the future? Does anyone
the
have a feeling?
future?
Future might be fun.
That could be very interesting. We haven't done that before. We could do
Right.
a little future action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
How far?
Yeah.
Oh, like
Like-
a light cyberpunk kind of thing.
So near or far future?
Like 5 minutes into the future. I
Okay,
was
so
thinking.
near future, we'll say.
Yeah.
Where is the story set? Well, I mean, if it's near future, we could be a
Could be above the
it
Earth.
could be a
we
moon
yeah, we could
base,
moon
we could-
base.
like
Anything.
city. It could.
Or
I mean,
like-
it could be an. If we're thinking like
Neo Yokio. Is that
yeah,
what
like
we're
a
saying?
like a cyber dystopian city or something.
Yeah.
Or cyber utopian.
Cyber utopian mecca.
I like that idea. Like a large cosmopolitan city. I don't know if we have to be specific about it, but like a New York, Seoul, Mumbai kind of feeling.
It's an urban sprawl. Like it's
Right.
gotten so vast and so many cities connected. Like where in this massive urban sprawl are we on the waterfront? Are we in like sort of a tower?
So like a neighborhood or a borough.
Is the city so dense that like boroughs are buildings, like interconnected buildings or something?
Yeah, I mean,
like, large
I always think of
substructures.
cyberpunk cities or something as having lots of different vertical and horizontal layers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look up and there's cars going, flying cars or something going, or magnetic cars going by overhead. You look down and there's the same thing. There's like hyper elevators rushing up and down buildings, and yeah, like the population of a modern city living in like a giant arcology. That sounds great. Like Kowloon Walled City.
So we've got this borough, sort of walled city. Is there a name to it?
So like maybe they call it the Warren. I like that.
I mean, how about Warren Station? For some reason, I really am glomming onto what you were saying.
Warren Station. That's got a ring to it. I like that.
Because I'm imagining there being like a huge, there was at one point a huge mag station. There is, or something like
Okay.
that. Like it's a
Yeah.
big
A little bit of
feature.
like a hub.
Yeah.
Whether it's still active or not is a big
Yeah.
question mark. Cool. All right. So now we're going to each make a primary location. These can be separate places or specific places within the main location that we've already chosen.
A abandoned blood bank, like abandoned like medical, like quick, like city MD, like abandoned clinic. Yes.
Yeah. How about a club or someplace where they have block parties? Yeah, people get together, place where people get together, get down, that kind of thing. I think it's huge. So this club has different rooms, different spaces with different aesthetics or themes. So I'm imagining something like that, but writ much larger. So there's
Can I pitch a
yeah.
name? Wherehouse, like where WHERE.
oh
house.
that's what's up.
So it's
yeah.
like locations within a large
Yeah.
location.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe there's like there's some areas where there's a cover charge or you need to know someone to get in.
It's like VIP
Right.
clubs inside an oversized club.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's something called street level. It's I'm going to say like a subterranean farm, like nutrient farm.
Oh, interesting.
So street level is the name for this subterranean nutrient farm.
Nice.
So we got a blood bank that may be abandoned. We have Wherehouse, the mega club with multi clubs inside, and we have street level, which is all. Then they're all we're saying kind of part of Warren Station, which is this self-contained borough inside an urban megacity in the near alternate future.
Cool.
We're going to talk about who is the witness. What is their name? What is their role in society? They don't have to be particularly heroic, but we want someone sympathetic and engaging. What's their name and who are they?
I think that they are a civil servant.
Like they used to be a wild child, but they squared it up.
If they squared something up, are they like a white hat, like
Hacker?
or like
Yeah, or
like locksmith, or just like some sort of like a superintendent who like physical hacking more maybe, right? Like who when they were bad would like take stuff apart and build bad stuff, but as a super takes stuff apart and builds helpful stuff, or like reconstitutes technology.
Yeah, I'm imagining someone who got the government's attention or got some corp's attention doing terrible things, and then they tempted them with six-figure salary equivalent is in the future. I don't know.
What do they have a gender?
They, them pronouns.
They, them, yeah.
Jumping shells, maybe, if you want to be.
Mechanically savvy.
I like locksmith is a funny one. I like that a lot.
I like that name.
Cyberpunk locksmith.
Yeah, I kind of feel like locksmith is a profession, like
Yeah.
just inside this civil servants
Yeah.
thing.
That's
like
good.
it's kind
That's-
of like a mundane.
Yeah.
Like there may be other locksmiths, or like
Right.
you're assigned a building, or
Yep.
almost or elected. So what is their name? First name B, let's say.
All right.
Two, like the name of
Or-
a piece of technology.
Beat Theremin.
Beat Theremin, yeah.
That's kind of fun. I like that.
What is the reason for them being at the location? We kind of have already said that they work at the Warren.
The way that we've been talking about them, it sounds like there's some obligation beyond just I got to make a living. There's something else that's tying them there. Also, their family could be there.
They have family there too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like family lives in the Warren. Next thing we're gonna do is think of a personality trait.
Like a by the book vibe. Like there's a manual that they adhere to as a locksmith, and like that's their fallback. Is like they're very by the book.
Yeah, very lawful in a D&D
If
sense.
you want to think about it that way, yeah, they're very much.
There are certain rules, and you follow the rules maybe to a fault.
Yeah.
Like you just you
Yes.
do
That's
you do the
more
law,
what I-
you do what's expected of you. So they're gonna follow the letter. Do they follow the spirit? And how diligent are they?
They actually believe in the book. There's some moral or ethical value to this structure that they've decided to follow. And maybe they don't understand the moral or ethical value of all of it, but maybe they have some faith.
Okay.
So values the rules as written.
And this goes along with they were a wild child and they turned it around, became this locksmith, and now they
Yeah.
really believe in this shit.
Yeah.
So next we're going to give them a source of strength. This is something that kind of grounds them in the world and forces them to keep going against all odds. It can be pulled from, like it's another personality trait, or it could be something like external. Maybe this personality trait we've defined is that, and we want something else on top of that. Like is valuing the rules, is that their strength as far as we see it, that's going to keep them going against like all odds, and so we should just come up with another personality trait for when we play them.
The other thing I think of is like the organization that they belong to, right? Like, is there some larger locksmithing, or you know what I mean? Do they have a badge? You know, it's like, is the strength like, hey, I'm part of this thing that has my back, or whatever. I'm part of this civil service, and that's their strength. Like, if they flash their, you know what I mean? That's what gives them quote unquote strength, is feeling a part of this larger.
and that sort
thing.
of forces them.
Well, we talked about them having history with the Warren as well, right? Maybe the Theremin family has, like we joked earlier, has lived here for a very, very long time. They're an establishment. That family name means something. People know them. People trust them.
So
That's
they
cool.
sort of have a legacy, and they have something to maintain and uphold.
Right. Yeah. Their family name is
Their family
synonymous
name.
with this place
That's
for good
cool.
or
I
for
love
ill.
it. There's an external strength to family.
Yeah, we'll figure out who's going to go first, and we'll get right into it.
Awesome.
You are the narrator, so tell us where we are.
Totally in the Warren, right? Our camera is focusing further down into the mega club known as the Warehouse. Beat Theremin is going there for a retirement party.
Oh.
One of their family members is retiring in the area. They help produce protein bars using like cockroach milk, but they're retiring from that. This is a like brunch. So it is, the Warehouse is open 24 hours a day. So this is like a brunch. It's in one of their Elvis like Rat Pack rooms. It's more like a cocktail hour brunch, standing tables and service, wait staff, that sort
Okay.
of thing.
A futuristic misunderstanding of a speakeasy kind of thing.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to think about it. Beat Theremin is there. Their family member, Trim Theremin, is there, as well as many other family members and friends. And what are they doing there? They are celebrating this retirement. The party's been going on for a while. Beat is ready to leave. The party has been going on for a while. As they're getting ready to leave, they get a call from work that there's some sort of problem in the Warehouse. People have been maybe like locked in one of the dance rooms. That needs to get checked out.
So they're heading towards this dance room, toolkit in tow. They keep a pack with their gear, and they kind of unfurl their coveralls and put it on over their semi-formal clothes.
Beat, you're leaving already?
Yeah, in duty calls.
Oh, come on. You're only 4 drinks in maximum.
Yeah, I may even have to take a supplement to get myself back in work mode.
Boring.
I'm on call. I mean, 4 is the max for the dosage that I can handle when I'm on the clock.
You gotta turn off your location ping, man. You can't let work know where you are all the time, or they'll do this to you.
And there's a exclamation of joy as people are clinking glasses, taking these neon-colored shots. There are also televisions on that are showing robotic events that are happening, like sporting events, races, even building contests where like building or creating items. People are sort of in this joyful mood. One of the TV flickers, one of the screens flicker, and sort of lights flicker in here, even as people are in this joyful sort of atmosphere. Beat heads out. There is some chatter over their internal comms for the locksmith net. What does the chatter say?
Beat, come in. Anybody in the area? Are you seeing this flickering? Like that's got to be a code 28, possibly a code 45. Who's in charge of this sector?
I'm on this beat. I'll be right over there.
On this beat, yeah, that's funny. Would be funny.
Yeah, I get that often.
Weren't such a shit show.
Listen, yeah, I think I can sort this out. I also got a call about something going on in one of the nearby rooms.
Such a shit show.
Over, and I turned.
This would be funny if it weren't such a shit show.
And that's so weird that sort of, this would be funny if that wasn't such a shit show. It sort of like continues on even as you're like turning it off, it almost like oddly continues to sort of play out more silently for a second. Shake your walkie-talkie, your wrist comp, trying to tap on it. It seems like it's malfunctioning. You just turned it off.
Syncing up with the beat of the music in the room you're walking through. It's really obnoxious.
You are making your way towards this shut down dance chamber. There's lots of other rooms with pounding music of different genres, hyper rock and whatnot.
Some dub trip, post-punk. They've got meta remixes. It's a genre which is made of remixing songs that have previously been remixed.
Making your way, Beat, closer, you are definitely seeing that the doors to this dance hall have been shut. The emergency lights are sort of blinking, like everything is shut down.
Goes for the door, see if the lock is engaged or not. Try to pull open the door.
The lock is definitely engaged. Pulling open the door is not having any effect.
This is par for the course. He's a locksmith. So Beat takes one of their tools out, attaches it to a torque port on their upper forearm to give them a little more like pressure and a little more electricity behind the tool. So now it's powered.
Cool.
It's on this sort of bracer. Isn't surgically attached, but is attached to his arm in a semi-permanent fashion. Not part of him, but it's applied thing.
Interesting.
It has a bunch of ports on it and a light meter noting that the batteries are full, and they shove this thing into the door, initially into the lock, like this little port. It starts to surge light into this lock.
They're really good at their job, and the door opens very quickly. This bulkhead, like security bulkhead, opens. Inside, it's dark. Like all the lights are off. You can't really see anything ahead, but it's completely silent. The only thing you do sort of see from the emergency lights that are sort of flickering around you is this high-heeled shoe that has like all these spikes coming out of the front. The high heel is a spike as well. It's sort of a neon green color.
Beat turns to the panel in the wall where the hand pad for the lights are, sees it's not activated, pops it open with the part of that same tool they used for the door, pulls a couple wires out of that same gauntlet type thing, tries some connections, sees if they can jolt some power into the room lights.
Some drunks stumble through the door.
They stumble through the door. They're not even paying attention to you. They just keep walking forward, like they're just talking to each other.
Whoa! This is an active site. This is locked off.
Locked
What?
off. What?
This is a locked off site. I can't have
This is the bathroom.
guys. This is a maintenance area. It's off limits. Come on, back out.
And they're arm in arm, and they're so sorry, whatever, and they're laughing with each other. And as they try and navigate and turn themselves around, one of them tumbles to the ground. Their friend is trying to help them get up, and they're like, "Oh, the shoe. Oh, it's beautiful, but what is all this gunk on it?" And as they pull it up, there's all this like, ooze. It's covered in ooze. And as they're picking the shoe up, string cheese, like just this ooze gooping up from the floor, stringing out. It's very viscous, but also very sticky. And one of them has to try and get the shoe off their hand, but is having trouble.
Yeah, Beat pulls out their badge, taps it, and this hollow light kind of pops up, and it doesn't illuminate much more than the badge in his area, and says, guys, I have to evoke my authority here. You need to leave right now.
Whoa! The one throws the shoe on the ground, and they rush off. But you can see that the drunk is like wiping the goop off on the front of his shirt and stuff.
Beat is incensed. This is routine work, and they're stepping into the middle of his job. They broke his routine. He was going through the steps to get this thing sorted out, and they just literally walked all over his job and made a mess of it. He activates the manual override and closes the door again so this won't happen, and is there now in the dark.
For whatever reason, they can't get all the lights on. They'll have to do maybe one sort of section at a time or something like that. The light sort of falls again on this shoe that's just covered in goop, and it seems to be metal spikes on the front are slowly like bending downwards, almost like losing their firmness.
So write down clue 1 and what
will.
it is. Beat has dealt with the power issues in the club. Seems that they were able to get the wires all sorted and kind of get power back and activated in this area. maybe it looks like some revelers got out of hand.
Yeah, totally.
And smashed some stuff. So
Weird stuff. There are some weird markings on the ground, like people were spray painting something on the ground.
they got their work sorted for the day. They're actually heading back to their home.
You know, the one thing I can't figure out about that room was how was it locked down and totally empty? Nothing in the Warren station is totally empty ever.
As you're walking back, you're pretty tired. It was actually a lot of work to put the mess back together. Rebuilding a lot of the mechanics in this room, it was a lot of work. You got it all together. You're walking down the hall towards your unit, and you took a roundabout route that is less peopled. You were in a cacophonous area. You were pretty intensely affected by the noise, perhaps.
Maybe catwalks on the outside of the building.
Yeah, you're walking. It's like a enclosed added tunnel structure that you're walking inside of. It's not very peopled, and it's not very well kept either.
Yeah.
As you're walking along, you're seeing areas. There are patches with not strong lighting. In fact, some of the strongest lighting comes through cracks or tarps and light that filters into these like covered catwalks that, again, sometimes covered by tarps, sometimes by like moldering drywall, and you're just walking along this thing. Some at one point had been inhabited, and so there's some just moldering piles of detritus in the corners, but there's no people around. It's very quiet. It's actually kind of peaceful.
Yeah, there's a
the noise
whistling
the
of
city.
wind that's coming through the cracks above the city.
I feel nervous about falling. I can't afford to lose this shell, so I do something which I hate doing, which is I turn on the balance aid in my like neural network, which aggressively corrects where I'm stepping and how I'm moving in case I'm about to step in something that it senses is going to be dangerous. Like if you get like illegal athletic versions of this, it's all very fluid and feels really natural, and I have the cheapest version on the market.
The off-the-shelf version.
So it feels like someone grabbing your clothing and jerking you around.
As you're walking down the hall, you come around a corner on this sort of exo corridor.
Yeah.
A mag car must be like mag racers that aren't supposed to be down this far.
The fuck?
In the level, zoom past, and you're caught, like the wind bursts in, the tarp bursts in, and you're caught off balance. Your systems go to autocorrect, and you're sent blasting not towards the tarp of the exterior, but into safety, further into the building, but through this rotted drywall, and you feel yourself on cold tile.
What the?
There's very little light.
Hello, is anybody? I gotta call this in. There's some mag racers down on this level.
For some reason, there's just static on your
Not again.
comms.
Oh my god.
So you were in an area you can barely see with the light filtering in. There's plaster dust still raining around you.
Where is this even? Is this map? Can I get a map?
You're having signal issues. There's something going on where you try to call up your map, and you're seeing the map of the building, but it's having trouble pinpointing your location. You're actually it's kind of pinging around a little bit. It's locked on your previous location before you entered this exo corridor. You're not getting a clear signal, just like you weren't getting. It's almost
How is
visual
this
static.
room not on the map? Is it not updating? Okay. All right. Lights. Okay, fine. I'll use a damn flashlight. I turn on the flashlight in my bracer.
Bracer, yeah. As you point this around, you see that you're in this green tiled, the floors, the ceiling, the wall, all tiled with these green porcelain, you would assume, tiles, like large, 6x6 kind of just square tiles. As you shine your light around, there are tubes and apparatus coming down from the ceiling, just kind of hanging loose. And it's almost like a forest of these that go off further into the depths of this tiled space. You're training your light about.
Is this a drug lab? A chop shop?
you train your light over like through mostly these like black sort of corrugated plastic / like rotted leather or rubber tubes for the most part that end in what could be hooks or some sort of like suctiony thing. It's not very clear what the purpose of these
You
are.
are seeing maybe scrapes on the tiles on the ground. Who knows? Maybe things have been moved around a lot.
As you shine
Can
your
I-
light further,
Can I look closely at the scrapes?
yeah, you notice that they cut through the tiles like something heavy was pushed away further deep into this thing. And as you train your light in the back, there's some reflective surface in the depths beyond this sort of forest of hanging, rotting rubber vines.
Hello? Is anyone here? I certainly hope not, because this room is terrible. All right, what is that?
Yeah, your voice echoes off of the like you're in a bathroom. You know, it's like a cavernous sort of tiled area.
All right, so what's this reflective surface?
Yeah, as you get closer, you see that it is some sort of like medical exam table. Like it's got what you could only assume it's in the sort of an impression in the shape of a human body, not fully defined, but sort of like head, shoulders are there, and there's what you can only assume is like a drainage sort of system, like it's like like a catch basin that should hold a body, but it's metal and it's heavy, and you see that this is where the scrapes terminate, and they actually stand up against a door.
Does it smell like dead people in here?
No.
It smells like rotted rubber.
Yeah, it smells like rotted rubber, and as you're sniffing it, it's very wet, like it's humid in here. The air is very wet.
All right, I put on a gas mask and I put on these awkward rubber gloves and I start moving this damn thing out of the way of the door.
Yeah, it takes quite a bit of effort to pull it off, and in fact, it's not so much that you pull it away from the door; it's that you knock the table off and over.
Whoa.
You have this metal lid bit, and as it busts open, this black viscous, even through your gas mask, you're blasted by this overpowering smell, and this black viscous substance begins to spill out, and you've kind of fallen back on the floor too, and this stuff is pouring across the tiles towards you.
Oh my god!
And
regulations.
It was so difficult to get this thing open. You really sort of worked up a sweat, but now you're realizing that it's even more humid in here, like it's warm in here, and that there's a sort of this weird mist that is sort of on the ground now. It seems to be just getting super foggy in here.
All right, I don't want to touch this, but according to regulations, if I run into a sample, like if I run into it says unauthorized substance in the book of statutes, so I have to take a sample of the black stuff.
You go to take a sample of it, and you scoop it up pretty easily, and you see that like on your instrument, it's blackish, but it starts to streak red as it gets thinner. And your readout dings almost instantaneously, like this is just in the data banks of your bracer. It's simple. It's a combination of rubber, human blood, and a solvent, and that's kind of all it is. And
okay, that's gross and creepy and pointless and creepy. All right, well,
there's this puddle of stuff pouring out of the broken table
let's
across
go
the
through
floor,
that
and there's this
door
door
real fast.
So you go towards the door. The lock on it is an antique.
Yeah, it's super antique. It actually looks like it has been etched, so there's a little mouth, like a little fish's mouth. So you see like the scales are etched into it, and it's even oxidized over time, so a lot of it is sort of aqua.
All right, so this cheers me up a little bit, right? Because how often do I run into an antique mechanical lock? So I bust out some old school lock picks. Now I'm kind of into this.
You go towards the lock, and as you see, like as you get closer on this, like there's a little etching. It's a pair of arms, and it says "mte," like that's kind of the letters you can make as like multic, and it's baffling your tools. They are, maybe breaking off inside.
Damn it!
This
Well
thing.
played, Fishlock.
With some play, you're able to eventually start to break it open, but it's not like you. It doesn't seem like you can quite get it open. So I'm going to say, yeah, this will be clue 2. So the antique lock is our second clue. So before we pass anything, we're going to leap to conclusions. With what now, based on the 2 clues that we have, this green slime covered shoe and the antique lock, what is the final horror?
It's sometime later. You're hanging out with some other locksmiths.
Okay.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of other people in Warren Station who have the same job that you have. There's a handful. Maybe you're working on a job together, fixing some stuff down on street level. There's hydroponic farms down here.
Yep.
So this is the section where they grow marijuana, they grow psychoactive mushrooms and fungi and other plants and fungi and bacteria and so forth that mess with your head in medically helpful ways. So it's a big cash crop. It's more expensive than just the usual Soylent farms. They have multiple locksmiths working on the electric systems.
Is a priority call.
Yeah.
Big money call.
Big money call. Exactly.
Corporate interest.
Yeah. There's another locksmith who's working on some electric panel next to you. Yeah, what's her name?
Thader Moog.
Thader Moog is working on this panel next to you, and you're midway through a conversation about this weird lock. She's like, "All right, so the room got humid, and you found the blood rubber stuff, and then you found this magic lock."
I mean, yes, it's a magic lock. I don't know if it was magic. I just couldn't get through it. It was odd. I don't know what was in there. Maybe the circuit breaker, but we'll never know.
Can I see the picture again?
Sure. Snapped a little photo of it. What do you
All
think?
right. Oh, that's cool, and I mean, in a kind of spooky way, but it looks kind of familiar. There's like the fish thing and the arms. Yeah.
Familiar, huh?
Um.
Well, I couldn't find anything on any of my searches that I ran. I mean, I've been trying to match it through the net since yesterday.
Did you ask kids?
Kids?
Yeah. Did you ask your kids?
I mean, I don't want to get them involved in this.
Because they would have been able to tell you.
Tell me what?
I mean, this is from a video game. Like a new video game, one of the really, really out there ones where it's like it's got the AR stuff and then it's got the video component. It's like 50 different kinds of media put together. I don't know how this works, but yeah, my kids love this stuff.
Thanks for the tip. I'll run it by my sister. She's the one who knows about all this newfangled stuff.
All right. Good luck.
And plus, I mean, it says right in our manual that we shouldn't discuss this stuff with our children.
Yeah, but who actually follows that rule?
I guess not enough of us.
Who's gonna check if you had a conversation with your spouse about your work?
I don't know. Do you think they're listening to us?
No, I have a jammer running. What else is going on in the room? How are the hydroponic plants reacting to the work that's being done here?
There was some sort of moisture deficiency. Whatever steam was supposed to feed in here had not been there was something was cutting it off or bypassing it. And so a lot of this job has been technicians that are wearing helmets who running drones through pipes.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas you two, or where Thader and Beat are dealing, they're dealing more with immediate mechanical things, and also trying to set up temporary moisture pumps to just keep the plants from losing any more moisture. So
Yeah.
it's like a stopgap measure. So that's the general like vibe of the room.
So Theremin heads off to get another part. You're alone in the room with, a bunch of like futuristic hyperweed plants, and one of the vents that steams this area that you've just got working again starts to bead and drip with liquid.
Fighting the urge to interact with these hyper plants. I want to reach out and touch them, but that's definitely against the book.
If they found out, they'd have to destroy the whole crop, and you'd be on the line for that.
Yeah, I would. I'm like fighting against that temptation, but as I notice that this vent seems to be malfunctioning, I am overjoyed to be distracted, and I move over there to try and get closer and maybe take the vent off the grill.
So you undo the screws, locks, whatever. And
It comes out of my tech bracer, like tubes, wires that have adjustable tools at the end of them, and they unscrew them.
it's this weird liquid, right? Should be steam, should be vapor or gas coming out of this vent. But what kind of liquid is dripping down here?
Well, initially it's clear, so it's got to be mostly water, but there are bits of like flakes of rust in it and moldy kind of spore that kind of floats along. So you have this water as it pools down below, you see resting along the top this like moldy spore, and at the bottom these rusty little bits, and it smells like rust too. The steam coming out
From
rust.
out of their tech bracer, this sensor wand comes out as they sweep it through this cloud of vapor to try and sense what this is, as they have sensed other compounds in the past.
It's just dripping down until you take the wand out. As it boots up, you see little fungal blooms start to spread outwards from the clusters of spores. And you've removed the grill, right?
Yeah, I've removed the grill to look in here to see where the steam is. That can't be. I'm pissed. Like, this is totally against regulations.
Yeah.
And so I want to get in there and get some samples. Trying to like crawl up in there. My shoes extend a little bit.
lifts.
My lifts,
Yeah.
exactly.
There's this spore and mold encrusted outer ring that you just took the grate off of.
Who has been maintaining this down here?
And
I am
it's,
going to reprimand them. See that they are reprimanded.
when you brush away some of the spores, it's that same fish. The little lock opening, same design, but a circle in a ring around the outside.
I'm like diabolical.
Objet d'art. Play this after a scene that included a mysterious or unpleasant sculpture, painting, or other piece of art, which that lock was.
Yeah, it's almost like I'm going in a fish mouth.
It's large enough that you'd be able to fit in. It'll be a tight fit. You can
Well, I got to
in
get
there.
those samples of those mushrooms, so I definitely climb up in there. I'm feeling a little weird. The fish mouth is giving me just a hint of pause. I think it's a gang sign.
What's a local gang that might believably have this as part of their aesthetic?
They're called the Thrimpers. They have backpacks full of materials. They're effectively graffiti artists that 3D print graffiti
Okay.
with these like hand cannon type sprays. It's illustrative, but it's dimensional what they draw. And they draw like different ones have different preferred materials.
Okay.
So one might run in and spray a sculpture of a wang or something on somebody's door in metal, and it embeds itself and is difficult to dislodge. There are all different styles. The Thrimpers, they're the aficionados. Some gangs have a Thrimper, or like it's a hobby kind of thing, but like the Thrimpers, the ones who like really hold their territory and kind of are clannish a little more, they're hardcore. They don't do flashy stuff. They're about subtle tweaks that you wouldn't notice until who knows when. So that's like that's the Thrimpers. Pranksters, but artists and jerks at the same time.
Yeah. Maybe Thrimpers. So you're crawling.
Crawl in, to try
Yeah.
and get the sample.
You're crawling deeper into the pipe. It's hard. There's a slight downward slope, so it's kind of hard not to slip further in.
Ugh.
There's a couple of things that you're noticing as you get deeper in, and one of them is the fungal blooms, this dripping substance. It's all over everything, and it's just kind of like flowing towards you which means it's flowing up a slope.
Ugh.
Scene.
We have slipped into the pipe. We are unable to control our forward movement as Beat Theremin slips down.
They struggle to catch themselves. The pipe is slick and wet, and the slope just increases as they continue down, and it jukes. And they try to use their bracer. How much do I want to use it for light, the thing on my arm, and how much do I want to use my arms to try to control my speed and descent? They just can't get a purchase.
No, they're having trouble. They splash into the inner pipe workings of the mega building. You're in the inner workings now of this heating vent system. What else is in this system?
There's a rhythmic sort of smashing and clanking noise. And because of the echo, it's hard to tell whether it's far away or nearby. Illuminated in your light ahead, you're in some larger chamber now, like with catwalks, like something.
I was
human
thinking,
size, right?
yeah, definitely. You slid in like a silo. Be ladders sort of going up the catwalks.
Lattice work.
Yeah, lattice work. The main feature you're seeing is that there are probably about a half of dozen arched ways out of here. There's 3 up top where you could climb up and go one of 3 ways, and 3 down here, go one of 3 ways. More pipes, smaller pipe openings all around this place where stuff's coming in.
Beat begins just scraping the slime and fungal growth that's blooming off of their coveralls.
Yeah, you got like little straight up mushrooms.
Yeah, just
coming
like
off your arms.
brushing it off. Activates a little acetylene torch and is just trying without burning, singeing their coveralls slightly, but just trying to burn off some of these spores. They go to their walkie. Moog, can you hear me? Moog,
Hey,
come in.
Hello.
Moog, can you hear me?
Where'd you go?
I'm in the. I don't know. I was checking out a pipe. I'm down. I mean I must have fallen like I don't know 70 meters, 80 meters at least.
Okay.
There's a
And I can't. Yeah, I
that
can't.
sort of like
hear myself over it.
reverberates through the chamber that Beat is in.
Whoa, you're breaking up in there. What is that?
Hold on. And Beat clasps their hands to their ears to try to block out as much of the sound as possible and starts looking around for the source of this. And is there light in this place?
There are emergency lights
It's just
that
like
are
red.
like red, that are affixed on the bottom and top
So
floors.
like heavily cast shadows
Yeah.
with this red light.
Mhm.
Okay.
They have those little cages around them.
Yeah.
Like in the
Yes,
subway?
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Cool.
exactly.
So it's like, again, just sharp shadows.
Yeah, sharp shadows.
Okay.
And so your light does help. And as
They're busy
as they
covering
cover
their
their ears, they can definitely see a lot of the viscous fluids that are here are reverberating with this sound.
Oh, Moog, I'm gonna have to get back to you. I gotta
What?
get out of here. Beat begins making their way through what maybe just picks the middle path and through this archway, like into the darkness, moving as away from the sound as much as they can.
The sound is fading as they're moving into this dark pathway. Their light is shining around. There's moisture trickling along the sides and funneling down. It is pipe that they are in, a large pipe, large enough to accommodate them. But then they're seeing smaller branches here and there. It's more and more of this viscous ichor seems to be collecting, coming out of pipes. It's turning into the sludge stream that Beat is trudging through.
Beat looks for ways to stay out and above this water, kind of shimmying along the sides of the pipe as much as possible, just kind of stay up on the curb, at least like stay out of the depths and out of the center of the pipe where they assume that the water would be deepest. They're busy just trying to move forward, not trying yet to communicate to Moog. Their main focus right now is just getting out of the situation that they found themselves in.
What about this situation reminds Beat about their children?
No one and nothing should ever come in here, right? You're supposed to send drones in here. This deep in, you're seeing graffiti. Graffiti's all over the place. There's paint graffiti, there's AR graffiti that people spray on places that you can only see when you turn on an AR overlay. All kinds of different graffiti that's just all over the world. One of the graffiti pictures that you see on the wall of this pipe where only drones should go looks just like something that your youngest child likes to draw on their tablet.
What is going on? They actually move a little closer to examine this image.
It seems to be a stroke for stroke rehash of the picture that your child created. It depicts the two of you going to the pond to go fishing.
This image, especially this blown up this large,
Yeah.
and seeing the fine detail of it, they flash back to this moment. They kind of lose themselves. The sound of water moving, it all jives, but it's a disquiet. It adds like an eeriness to the scene. They snap a picture of this image, and with a roiling sort of like sick feeling in their gut, now begin rushing forward, frantically calling for Moog to see if they can send, and also trying to bring up their map to see if they can locate
Right.
themselves in this.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on right now. Trying to locate themselves on the map, and it's sort of wavering. They're trying to reach Moog, and it's sort of staticky. And in their mind is their child who drew this painting, or drew this illustration, rather, making their way down this corridor, their light flashing everywhere. That's when the scent in the air does change, and it becomes much more acrid, much more pungent, much more fecal, as you make your way forward and you see ahead of you what looks to be a pile of what you first think to be roe eggs or something like that, like giant-sized roe eggs, but you realize then maybe some sort of fecal matter, some sort of bright orange fecal matter. And that will be our clue number 4.
Yeah, Beat is taken aback by this sight, this new bit of information. Their stomach was already turning with disquiet, and now with the smell and this like visual, they just turn and put one arm up against the thing and just begin retching into the wastewater, wipe a hand across their mouth, and look back at this pile of stuff, and
It's
again
a
just like
big pile.
and
It's
just
a
like
big, it's as big
and
as
it
you.
continues
It's a
to
big
retch.
pile.
Yeah.
I'm going to play this after a scene if evidence of an inhuman creature was revealed. Footprints, spoor, a sighting. So I think some spoor was revealed.
Okay.
Right.
So we're gonna rotate roles. We'll do this last scene. There's time that's a little bit lost. Beat has been rushing through these pipes
Yeah.
for a while. Their map is not being very helpful. They've actually they may have entered some spaces that aren't on the map. Where we come to, the moisture is heavy here. The stench is gone. They've kept that behind. The sounds, in fact, the sounds of the thrumming of the pipes and all that seem to be deadened. But there's a moisture here, and the water stands a couple inches deep and is stagnant. And so the air is humid and rank. So you stand in this space, almost like the pipe has let out in this round room that rises up into darkness.
The walls are metal, and there's these big rivets. There's this algae coming down from sort of staining them in different places.
Right in front of you, across this pool of stagnant water, is a door.
All right, I got to get it together. So I grab my gas mask that was unhooked before, spray it with super hand sanitizer, snap it back onto my face before I can start growing mushrooms again.
Your gear is very reminiscent of those black tubes that were hanging down from the green tile room, as you're realizing that those too seem to be maybe breathing apparatus.
The suit seals and the internal atmospheric start working again. Straighten my back, and I fix my posture. Walk purposefully towards this door. And I
You
start.
slosh through the water. It is hard. It seems like it's this heavy door, but it turns and creaks open. beyond there's no sound. You cannot. It's like pitch black. It's already dark from where you just came, but it's pitch black in this space beyond the door.
And you're realizing the water that you're standing in hasn't ever affected you before. I mean, you're in your suit. You're very well prepared for this, but it's incredibly icy. Like it feels like your feet are starting to freeze, or your lower
For as
extremities.
humid and like muggy as the core is it above this, that this water is so chilly is odd to you. There is a sill to this door. The door is kind of ovular. Or like rounded square, or whatever you want to say. And so it's got a lip that you can step over and through the threshold of.
Before I go any further, I tap something on the bracer on the other arm, and it ejects a little piece of physical media that has data on it. On that is all of the sensor data from my suit. There's one of those giant rivets, and it's got like the groove in the middle where like an enormous screwdriver might go. And I place the memory stick in there, thinking that, like, well, if I die down here, maybe Moog will find that. I don't know. Tell my kids I love them. I step over, I shake off this ice, and I step over the lip, light on, looking in.
When you shake off your feet, you realize that there is no ice on them. It's just the liquid itself seems to be freezing, but as you're stepping out, that seems to be dissipating.
I reach down there with my fingers to see if, like, is there a temperature change there? Like, is it cold?
As you step out of the liquid, it is no longer as like it seems to return because of the air temperature is so warm that there's something going on. But as you step out of that cylindrical room with the freezing strange water and the humid air, you're stepping into this new space beyond this door. In pitch dark,
I shine the light into it.
Shine light in, and the walls are like a pristine white and clean. And actually, as you step in with your first foot, the ground gives a little bit. It's like padded.
I kneel down and I pat the ground.
Yeah, it's this industrial soft vinyl. Some sort of padding inside it gives a little bit. You leave a hand impression that slowly forms back to normal when you remove your hand.
I look back at the doorway through which I came.
There's like a little bit of like muggy mist rising between this icy water and the hot air, and you can feel this hot air behind you, and the humidity, and the precious sort of breathing that you hadn't noticed. The sound was gone in the last room, but there was still this sort of presence of like movement of air.
Now I feel like I'm in this like big weird lung. I turn on all of the lamps on my suit. I try to look around this creepy white room.
Yeah, you look around it. It's a pretty straight up like inside a cube. The distance from the wall with your door to the the wall beyond it, and the walls to either side and the ceiling all seem pretty equidistant. Maybe like 20 feet or something. Not gigantic, but a pretty big, open, padded cube. Further on, past, like on the other side of this room, is another door.
All right.
Just a simple, like, square door for this part.
I go and I check the other door, and I make sure that it's not gonna close. I take some tool or something and I wedge it in there so it won't close on me by accident. And then I run over to this other door and I frantically open that one.
The door behind you, your tool, you hear, like, as you reach this square door, before you can even examine it, there's a rending metal sound. And
of course there is.
What would like maybe a booming crash that like could have reverbed, but now the room is silent because of the softness of the walls, and the back of this door that you would come from, it also has padding. The remnants of the tool you had left in there lays adjacent, and you see this massive hydraulic pull itself back into the wall that had pushed the door closed. And then the air sucks out of the room completely, and your breath comes short.
All right. Stay calm. You know, they train us for this. The suits have an oxygen reservoir and stuff. I'm not totally boned right away. and I do the calming exercises, which I very much need right now.
As you're kind of gathering yourself, that's when the air rushes back into the room, and it's dry and clean, and the door in front of you, you can see it clearly. There are actually lights that just soft filtered lights turn on from the upper corners of this room. So there's just this general like soft glow on this white marshmallowy room that you're in, with this one big square metal door right in front of you.
I open the big square metal door.
Yeah, you go to reach for the handle, and again, it's one of these antique fish locks that turns in your hand because it's open.
Oh.
And you pull it forward.
The fish lock feels good in your hand. You can feel like the scales sort of pressing against
This
your palm.
metal. It's like beautifully
Beautiful,
rendered.
I open the door.
Yeah, you open the door into this soft yellow glow. And as you open the door, the lights above you in this marshmallow room actually shut off. And now there's this soft yellow glow coming from inside this new room.
Okay.
And as you open the door there, what you're seeing is a soft golden wooden floor and shelves with, on either side of you, of these inside, built into these shelves are these archways that go off into darkness. On either side, there are soft lamps set on the shelves that have a soft glow. And
gas, electric, fire.
right now they look like some sort of electric. They're encased in like glass sconces.
Okay.
Looking up, you see that there are wooden walkways and more arches, and it just kind of keeps going up and up into the
looks
dark,
like
into darkness. Because there's the lights are here, but they don't seem to be turned on further up. On these shelves are these square bits of leather. There's something odd, and the room, it smells like dust, and it's not an unpleasant smell, almost like spices and like a cedar wood kind of smell, like a little like the dustiness is probably the most oppressive part.
Yeah. I check the suit readout about whether the air outside is like safe to breathe.
Yeah, it's safe air. It seems like there's actually like a gentle movement of air, like there's something pushing air around in here.
I unhook the gas mask.
Whoa.
I'm so over. I just need something normal. I take a sniff of the air with my own actual real nose.
Yeah, and again, it's just this powerful mustiness and nothing like rotting, just like wood.
Yep.
And this sort of and polish maybe, but old.
Yeah,
Like you're
okay.
getting a smell of old.
I start exploring, looking at those leather cubes.
Yeah, so you go to pull, like it's almost like a vertical thing. You start to pull it out, and
Don't be skin.
and it's some sort of thin material. It's something you've never seen before. Along three sides is leather. There's gold writing on the front of the thing, and it says,
Basically, ancient summoning practices.
as you hold one side of it, there are parts that aren't covered in leather kind of spill open in these thin sheets of
What is that?
material.
Is
Just
that like
filter open, and there's more words printed on on these sheaves and sheaves of thin
is this
material.
some kind of like plant material? Can I tell?
Yeah,
Could it be like? I guess that could be processed stone.
you run your sensor over it, and it says that it's like a plant pulp.
Who would write on a bunch of dead things?
As you handle this, the material begins to disintegrate in your hands.
Oh no!
and you
no.
start to lose it. Like the leather and the sort of some of the other materials are all that's left as it falls away. And as you look up, there's another tome that catches your eye. It's a black bit of leather with gold text on it,
All
and
right.
it says Moby Dick.
Clue 5.
So this thing catches your eye. It's one of the few that has writing on the outside part. in this gold lettering.
I'm gonna really, really carefully. I'm gonna sit down, and I'm gonna start looking at the words on this thing, and I'm gonna, I don't know, maybe there's like a story or something.
You go to open the pages. The material is finer and somewhat see-through and seems to be holding up better. You the first thing you see is an finely like drawn graffiti, but like not a photograph. It's some sort of like graffiti, some sort of drawing on this first page. What is the drawing of?
A beautifully rendered harpoon.
And as you thumb through this tome with prints and page after page of words, time marches past you. And that's where we'll end our scene. We interrupt our story here, and we'll continue in our next communique. I was one of your players, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at Lord Joho and on Instagram at board_ghost. Ken, where can people find you?
Board Ghost, find me on Twitter at Berlingsbeard, Berlings. Look at my website of the same name. I'm a freelance GM and content creator in the New York City area, and I also love co-hosting this podcast. So definitely listen to more Board Ghost and get those games out there.
All right. And Mendez, where can people find you?
So I'm James Mendez Hodes. I write, edit, design, develop, and cultural consult on role-playing games and other similar media. You can find me on the internet at jamesmendezhodes.com. That's Mendez with a Z, and Hodes is Hodes. And you can find me on Twitter at Lula Vampiro, and on Mastodon at scream.supply/@Lula, and we'll link all of this in the description.
Yeah. And so you also just had a successful Kickstarter.
Yes.
1,000 Arrows. Why don't you tell us about that pretty quickly?
Yeah, sure. So 1,000 Arrows is a tabletop role-playing game. It is an Apocalypse World hack. It's powered by the Apocalypse, based on Apocalypse World by Megan Vince Baker, and it is a historical fiction game about the Japanese Warring States period.
Awesome.
All right.
Well,
Cool.
congratulations on that.
Thank you.
We will link to all that information. To find out more about the players and engine of story, go to boardghost.com. Reach out through the void if you have anything to tell us or ask us, whatever. We're around. Yeah. We're on Board Ghost World on Twitter. And you can leave us reviews on iTunes. Tell people about the show. That would be fantastic. We'd like to thank Pat Couples for our theme song and interlude music. You can find more about Pat at patcouples.tumblr.com or on his band's website, hotelsandhighways.com. If you're not alone in the void, share our stories. The more they're consumed, the truer they become.
Dying don't agree with me.